All right. Well, good evening. Good evening, my good people. Welcome to Great O'Clock this Wednesday night. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the power of the heart set versus the mindset. I believe this is a very important discussion to have, and I'm looking forward to having it. I have some wonderful, powerful people that have shown up for this show, and I can't wait to delve deep into this conversation. If it's okay with you all, is it okay if we tell you all who we are and what we do before we get started? If it's okay, you can just put a 1. If it's not, put a 2, and we will just go on and talk about it. Adam says go for it. All right, we got some ones. Okay. Anthony, please tell them who you are.
Yeah, so Anthony Vaughn, owner and founder of Creation International. Pretty much what I do is I do personal development and culture development for network marketing teams, small, medium, and large organizations. I do the exact same thing when people start startup companies. So I love what I do, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And I am Gerald DeBose. My company is The New Wealth Order. We work with entrepreneurs, help them cultivate a winning culture, and implement value-driven sales and marketing strategies to increase profitability. That's a fancy way of saying we help them really learn how to make money in business and not fail. So, all right, we're going to jump into this now. The power of the heart set versus the mindset. This is something I talk about a lot, and it's very near and dear to my heart. I speak on it a whole lot. Everybody in the personal development space, which I see a lot of the entrepreneurs in here that I've seen around before, like Kim and like Kawanza and Grand Family Planning. I've seen all of those people before. And Anthony, I've seen them. And Josie, welcome, Josie. I've seen Josie too. Oh, we got Josie. I love me some Josie. Josie's really cool. So the thing is, in this space, everybody always talks about your mindset. That is like the buzzword. You have to get the right mindset. You have to get your head right. And I challenge that a lot when I'm talking to people, because most of our life is done by emotion.
Yep.
It is really emotional intelligence that is the most important thing over your basic logic and understanding, because logic guides a very small part of our life, no matter how we think or who we think we are. Men always like to use that expose on women. Oh, well, we are logical and you all are emotional. No, everyone's emotional. Let's get that straight. Everyone is emotional. So when we come to talk in the full context of how this works and how this helps in business, I felt like we needed to address it. So, Anthony, I know you have something to say before we really get rolling.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, I don't want to give too much away since we're going to be talking about this today. But pretty much my viewpoint is exactly the same. Is there some lag in your end?
Just a little bit.
About that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely feel like you are utilizing your mind, or your heart rather, at all times. Emotion is very big with my sessions, very big with my community and the people that I teach. So that's, I really want to talk about that as well. But bottom line, logically, a lot of people are starting companies, right? And they're looking at opportunities to make a lot of money. And they're looking at that as a way for them to get to that next level. But they should really be aligning their values and figuring out exactly how I feel about this marketplace before they jump into it with my heart. And that's going to kind of give them that, endurance, if you will, to kind of push forward through the tough times when logically it would tell them to quit. So that's just the really quick point that I want to hit on real quick. So.
Okay, awesome. And Adam over here says he's confused daily because he is emotional, but what he does is coding, and that's logical. So yeah. He kind of fights with it every day himself. And but the difference I would say with that though, Adam, is the fact that you love it. So your heart is in it. So that helps. That's why you're able to keep going. See, a lot of these entrepreneurs have an idea and they say, oh, I can make money at this.
Yeah.
And their heart isn't in it. So that's why it's so easy for them to stop. They just initially go for it. And then they're like, oh, well, this is hard. All right, I quit, because they have nothing vested into it. They have no full charge. You know, everybody talks about your why. Start with why. For anybody that's known me for even a little bit of time, I always tell you, I say, why isn't the problem? Because why always leads back to what. So what is the reason that you're doing it for? What is it that you are looking to produce? What is the ultimate question when you are looking at what drives you, your driving force? So that's why we talk about the heart set and why that is important. Hello, Alfredo. Welcome, Alfredo. How are you? So, oh, good, brother. Anthony, go ahead. I see you had something to add, and then we're going to kind of open this thing up because we got people in here that are powerful, and I want to really engage this conversation.
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you. I just wanted to kind of clear up my very first answer. And it's simply put, it's just your core values. Just something that anybody here that's watching, something I do with my clients. When I first meet with them, whether they have a startup company, whether they're in their company right now, write out your core values to see if your day-to-day actions are anywhere similar to those core values. And if not, then that tells me that logically you made the decision to do this and you didn't make it with your heart, because your values are right there correlated with your heart. So I just wanted to clear up my first statement about that. It's all about your values. It's all about exactly how you feel about it opposed to how you view it, right?
Absolutely. So we're going to get into this and now just really dive straight into this. With the heart set, what I always look at is your what. Again, not your why, but your what. What is this for? What am I looking to produce? And what is causing me to want this thing? What are my wants? What need am I trying to fulfill? And what am I trying to produce from it? So, your heart set. Once you get your heart set on something, I'm always quick to say, because this is how I look at mindset versus heart set. Okay, excuse me. Because first of all, people don't even talk about the mind when they're talking about mindset. They're really talking about they're talking about logic, which is your brain. Exactly. So that's your brain. That's not your mind. So people need to learn to separate mind, heart, and brain. Those are three separate things, and people always try to combine brain and mind together. But when I look at this through logic, I say this: the one thing in your body that your brain does not control is your heart. So if you can tap into that, if you can really put that into something, then your brain and your fears and your concepts of why you can never stop you. Because your brain can never tell your heart, stop beating. Your brain can never tell your heart, stop feeling. That's why when you're in bad relationships or even bad business relationships, it's hard to go if you feel if it's any type of emotional attachment to that person, that thing, or whatever it is. So that's why I talk about get your heart set right. Forget the mindset part. Forget all this. I've got to understand. You don't have to understand anything. If you feel strongly enough, if you want it badly enough, it's nothing your brain, yourself can block to stop you from achieving it. But go ahead, Anthony.
No, I want to throw it back to you, man, because you're on a roll right now. I want to pose a question just to kind of get some conversation going. How do you create, and this, I always talk about this, how do you create an environment so that you can actually feel that emotion in that area? So let's say they chose a business that they necessarily chose on a logic standpoint, but they have started to fall in love with it. How can they fall more in love with the business that they're choosing? Or is that something that you choose prior to the business? What's your mindset on that?
How do they fall in love with it?
So let's say they started a business and they weren't necessarily madly in love with it, but they would like to fall in love with it, or is that something that cannot happen? I'm just curious to know what your viewpoint on that would be.
I believe you choose what you fall in love with. I've always said that, even about relationships. I've always said, people always, I don't know how it happened, I just fell in love. No. You choose to spend time with that person. You choose to devote energy to them. You choose to let that person in closer than you've allowed anyone else. You choose to make the phone calls and return the phone calls and make them feel special and allow them a place within your life. So can they develop a love for it? Yes. Is that usually how it works? No. Because your heart set, I believe, is about your purpose. When you are really able to put your heart into something, it's because it means something to you. You don't usually go into something and then find, oh, this means a lot to me. You usually go and you usually already say this means a lot, which is why you start something. So I would just say, is it possible? Yes. Is it feasible? I say it's a little more difficult to fall in love with it if you started and your heart wasn't in it in the first place.
Now, I will say this: working with a lot of my network marketers, I'll give you a very clear example. The world of network marketing, I had a client that he was not in love with that world, right? He wasn't in love with the products, he wasn't in love with anything about it. But what he was in love with was the personal development aspect that his leader brought to him. And that saved his life from coming from a depressed state to now where he's, very confident within himself. So he emotionally attached himself to that, right? And so now he has fallen in love with the process of network marketing because of the attachment that he placed to it mentally.
Right? Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
So,
go ahead.
I was just saying that's one way that I've seen. Like you said, it's not very often because I asked him the same question. I said, do you really love network marketing? He said, yes, I do. But then he went on to explain exactly why he loved it. And I think that was very interesting of the way that he put that and how that was cultivated.
I would say, that happens because, like I said, you can do it. It's not the usual thing, but right. See, the thing is, you fall in love with the lessons you're learning. That's what you fall in love with.
Exactly.
It's not that he loves that actual thing. It's what he's learned from doing that thing. Because when I first started in marketing and within sales, when I started in marketing, I remember the first time I started all the way at the bottom. I was telemarketing, and I remember getting on that phone, and I remember my trainer, he believed so much in me, and he was just like, get on the phone. And I hated it. I did not like people hanging up on me. I did not like getting disrespected. I did not like getting, called names and I couldn't say anything back because I grew up in the hood. I don't respond well to that. I take it kind of personal when you come at me.
Yeah.
And it was humbling, but I quit like 5 times. And every time I quit, he would come back. He said, man, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And the one thing he said to me that really turned it around for me, which is when I understood what this was really all about was, and I fell in love with it after that, because he said, this isn't about you calling people, man. This isn't about you getting on the phone, calling people. He said, this is a skill you can take with you anywhere and will help you in everything. It's about communicating even when people don't want to listen. And if you are able to convey a message that people don't want to hear and they begin to listen to you and open their door for a complete stranger because of you, you can do anything in this world. I said, wow. I thought it was still bull because I was mad, but I went back and I continued and I started to take that same mindset. And now, ever since then, and wherever I go, I mean, I don't try to play. I'm like George, that old George Foreman commercial, that Meineke commercial. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler. I don't want to pay full price. I don't believe I should pay full price. Everything's negotiable. And a lot of times I get discounts at 90% of the places I go just because of that type of understanding.
So what I took away from that is you fell in love with the skill that you were developing, right? You fell in love with how it could contribute to your life and how you could take that skill and contribute to other people's lives in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And anybody watching, that's something that you guys can take away, because you're not always going to be in an environment or a business that you incredibly are passionately in love with. But open your eyes, cultivate emotional intelligence and that self-awareness, right? And look at skills that you can develop and that you can take and always keep with you, right?
Absolutely.
That's impactful. So, yeah, I love the way that you put that, because that's what people are missing. I don't know what I can get out of this. Well, open your eyes for a second and really take in what you can really take from this and help other people and do what you really want to do, what you're really in love with.
Absolutely. I always tell people, I say, man, look, it's hard to learn the lesson when you're in the middle of it being taught. Be present. Be present. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They want to look at what they could be doing, what they should have been doing. Look, so many people are stuck living in the past and in the future that they have no present, which is why their life is in complete chaos.
Exactly.
So until they take the time and understand that all you really have is now, tomorrow doesn't exist, yesterday is gone. So don't tell me what you're going to do tomorrow. What can you do with the time you have right now? Don't talk to me about 5 years from now. Don't talk to me about 3 months from now. Don't talk to me even about tomorrow. Right this minute. What is the best use of your time, and how can that enrich someone else's life so that in turn you can enrich your life? In order to deserve anything, you have to serve first. Serve is a part of deserve. So people have to understand how all the words come together and create something. So I would love to get some people in here. Adam is throwing some bombs over here. Adam says that's incredible because most people do not realize the skills that they are learning can be used to express their own views and passion. Absolutely. And I love that, Adam.
And Jared, I just want to add on what you just said. People don't realize as a CEO, as a company owner, you are serving the community. You are serving the marketplace. You are serving your staff. You are serving people. People think once you're a CEO, you're at the top of the chain now. You can just start delegating and do whatever you have to do. You are serving these people. You need to contribute and care about those people. And it goes back to the HEARTSET versus mindset. If you don't truly care about the passion or the opportunity that you're in, if you really don't have your heart invested in it, you're going to treat people negatively 9 times out of 10. You're not going to contribute to them the way that you probably should be. And so that's what people need to get. Like you said, you are serving. You're a server. Bottom line, that's what you are. You need to be doing whatever you can do to contribute to that. And so I'm really glad that you brought that topic up.
Oh yeah, this topic I told you is very near and dear to me. We've had plenty of conversations, obviously, and it's something I talk about consistently. Because it's not about me, it's about we. And until people understand that your gift isn't about you, that your gift isn't for you. I know you think you're great and that God did this just for me. No, he gave it to you because you're here to create and to serve. Those are your 2 purposes here on this planet. I don't care what type of industry you're in. I don't care if you're selling books. I don't care if you're a phone person. I don't care if you're the maintenance man. Everything you do and the purpose you were created, no matter how you look at it. You can tell me that I do this, because I want to help people. Okay, that means you're serving them. No. Okay, well, what is it then? Well, I do this because it makes me feel good. Why? Because you're creating something. No. No matter how you slice it, whatever industry you're in, when you fall in line with what you were put here to do, with what you were created for, you're put here to do, create, and to serve. Those are the 2 things. And if you are not doing those 2 things, both, you will never feel fulfilled. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how big your house is. I don't care how beautiful your husband or your wife is. That fulfillment will always be missing from your life because you are not living in alignment with what you were created for. You will not be fulfilled. So,
my man. But no, that's the trend nowadays, right? We have these solopreneurs, we have these guys in my age range, these young guys that are out here grinding and making things happen that are not in love with their passion, right? They're not in love with their business. And again, they're not trying to contribute all that they have to other people. And I just want to give people a tip. Go and research emotional intelligence after we get off this call. That's something I've been telling people. As soon as we get off this video, go and research emotional intelligence. Because my note here says aligning your actions with your passions. Bottom line. Mm-hmm. Aligning your actions with your passions and making sure that your business is developed that way. And you'll succeed no matter what you're doing. And that's emotional intelligence at its core right there, right? And so anyone, wants to learn more about that, because I talked about it, emotional intelligence, relational intelligence, all that good stuff that is kind of hard to understand. That's really where business is going. And that's really how successful you're going to allow your business to be if you understand how to contribute to people and not what you can take from people. So you really killed it on that one. But that's really impactful and really clear.
Okay, now I would love for somebody to jump in this seat because I feel like I've gotten this reputation on Blab. I don't know why, but I've obviously become the preacher of Blab for some reason, and I'm not a preacher at all. I just speak honestly and from a place of love because I really care and this stuff matters to me. It's I take what I do very, very seriously. So I realize that it's he said we know Jonathan said we know it's all about especially on platforms like this when you're sitting in front of people. It's very important that you don't come up here and give them. I'm not going to give you gummy bears.
No.
Yeah, so let me just explain what I mean by gummy bears, and you guys are laughing at me probably, but gummy bears are sweet. They're tasty. They're colorful. They look good, but they have no substance. You can eat 20 pounds of them and you will never be full. It's just sugar and fluff and stuff that's really going to destroy you if you ever continuously put that stuff in your system. So what I'm here to give you is some substance. I want to give you something that's going to feel good to you because it's going to do good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very, very vital to me. So I'll take the preacher title if that's what they want to give me, but I am far from that.
Exactly.
Okay, so can we get somebody up? Anybody have questions, comments? I would love. We have Kawanza, we have Kimberly, we have some powerful, powerful sisters in here, and we have my brother. Excuse me, my brother Alfredo's up in here. Adam's up in here. Anybody want to jump in? Have something they want to add? Questions, comments, anything?
Exactly. Waiting for somebody to jump up. Nothing yet, huh?
All right, we have Ayana. Ayana is coming up. It's my first time meeting Miss Ayana, so this is a privilege. Welcome, Miss Ayana Castro. She's coming through cyber. She's coming through the space we like to call cyber right now. She should be here shortly. And bam! Ask and she shall appear. We can't hear you. Okay.
I don't think it's the earphones.
I don't think it's the earphone. Look, Blab is still in beta, Ayana. So what we're going to do, we're going to X you out, come back into the room, and your mic will probably work. Okay. All right. Yeah, the permissions could be the problem too, Kimberly said. Jonathan says over here, if there is one thing that keeps you guys driven every day, what is that keeps you motivated every day? Okay, Anthony, you go first.
I love those. Those are good questions, man. What honestly keeps me motivated every day? There's two. There's two that I would say. The very first one is very simplistic and generic, but I knew I was here. I knew I was here to help people. I knew I was here to do whatever I can do to contribute to others. It took me a while to really realize that, but I knew that. And then secondly, one of my core values, I take a lot of pride in studying. I take a lot of pride in learning. And I want to keep testing myself. I want to see how much I can learn, push it back to the world, and then see how much the world can take it and run with it. So those are the two things that drive me, because I can learn as much as I want, right? There's endless amounts of information to learn. So for me, it's contributing to people and then learning. So those are my top two of my core values that I really like to cultivate my motivation on.
Okay, well, motivated, I would say, Jonathan, and this is going to sound funny when I say it, but I'm not a motivated guy. I'm an inspired guy. There are a lot of things in me that I understand that aren't for me. I realize that I am put here to create and to serve, and that I have to add my special piece to this puzzle that we call the world in order to enrich someone else's life. And I love people. and I've been at the bottom. I know what it's like there.
Yeah.
I grew up in the hood. I know what it's like not to have. I've been in the middle where I didn't know if I was going to fall back down or go up. So I've been there, and I've made pretty good money across my career. So I've been there too. So I understand what it's like on all those levels. And if I can pour back into someone when someone poured into me and gave me an opportunity, I want to be able to do that. I want to reach back and tell everybody, like, look, it's possible. I'm a guy with a high school education sitting here running a company. 7, not 1, 7. So if I can do that from the hood in Northeast DC, anybody can do that. And I want people to understand that. I want them to know that it's possible if you believe. It's possible if you put your heart into it. It's possible if you put people first. So
I'm going to go ahead and say something, Gerald, that people are afraid to say sometimes. I'm going to answer this question really quickly. I don't know about you, Gerald, but I mean, I think we learn from everyone. I think that's one of the answers that Gerald may give. But if I do have a coach, yes, I mean, I look at me and Gerald are doing some great things together. I look at him as a coach. I personally have, I have a research company, so I personally have a lot of coaches on a daily basis. So yes, I have a coach, and I'm always learning, or I wouldn't be able to give you guys value. But I'm going to say something that's probably some people are afraid to say. I'm inspired by leaving a legacy, Joe. I really am. I'm inspired by, I want to see how great I can be. I'm not afraid to say that. I want to see how great I can be for me. So that's probably my lower values. Like, it's towards the bottom, but that's the truth. I want to see how great I can be. I want to see how amazing this can get. And I'm very upfront and honest about that. Is it my top? No, it's not, but it's there.
Yeah, the last thing I would just say, I want to die empty. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I don't want to ever say that I could have, or I should have, or I would have. No, I did it.
I did it all.
Exactly, and I did it as best I could with everything I had and all the knowledge and energy that I could muster. I did what I could do to add my piece to this world.
Exactly.
So, yes, obviously, Jonathan, I told you, every good coach has a coach. I'm not above the fray, so I definitely have a coach. Jonathan, you've been with us from the very beginning, and my girl Gracie is in the building. Hey, Tish, how are you? All right, awesome. But you've been around, Jonathan, since the very first Great O'Clock, and I always advocate coaches should have coaches, and that's the first thing someone should ask somebody if they say, "Oh, I'm a coach." Oh, okay. Well, who's your coach? And if they can't answer that, and then you say, "Okay, well, what have you led? Who did you lead? And what did you accomplish?" Most people can't answer those 4 questions. They call themselves coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a coach. They haven't led anything.
Yep.
They can't answer those 4 basic questions, and it's the truth.
They haven't experienced.
Exactly. Again, there's a difference between implied knowledge and applied knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
2 very different things. So that's it. Fred needs to be here. Oh, Fred, don't worry. I'm quite sure he'll be around the corner at some point. I know Mr. Auburn will be here, but my man Adam also adds. I'm sorry, his name is Oban. Okay, for everybody, when Fred comes in, his name is Oban. It's Aubin, and it's pronounced Oban. I made that mistake, and I called the man my friend. I have to correct myself on the record. Adam says, my daily motivation is striving to be better than the previous day and be able to provide strength and love for my nieces and nephew. That is a beautiful affirmation. Is that your affirmation every day? And you ask, what did I tell you, Gracie? I said Mr. Oban would appear. Ask and you shall receive.
Yes, sir.
The deacon, the bishop is in the building. I told you he would not be far away. Fred is a phenomenal guy. For anybody that doesn't know him, Fred is a leader's leader. I will definitely say that. He has a wealth of knowledge that he just adds a lot of great points and inspiration to people and guidance that is necessary in this day and age where everybody's throwing crap against the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
So ironically, I had cartridge. See what happens, Fred? That's what happens when you tease me. I will take a joke out of the Bible for that. God says don't mess with his fools and his children, and I am here to entertain them. You teased me, look what happened to you. So, Army all the way. Okay. Anybody else want to come up? Ayana is back, but Ayana hasn't tried. Yes. Karma has teeth, and they're pretty sharp. They're like shark teeth. They bite pretty hard, man. They bite pretty hard. Ayana, do you want to come back up, or Gracie, or Kawanza? I would love to have her up. Or Kim. Anybody have comments, questions? Jonathan's been asking a lot of questions. Adam graced us with his presence last week. It would be awesome if Adam would jump up, because I know he has a lot to say. I know once Fred gets settled, he'll probably come in and chime in. But yeah, this HEARTSET versus mindset, it's like a majorly huge deal. If people can, Jonathan's still driving. Oh no, don't do that, brother. Don't blab and drive.
No,
I care about you too much to do that, brother, because you crash trying to talk to me. I'm going to feel really horrible. Don't do that. It's not that important. Just listen in right now.
Gracie just said look like Kanye West. I'm so tired of hearing that.
Go ahead, Kanye. Go ahead, Yeezy. Yeah. Creation Yeezy. Okay. HEARTSET versus mindset is not a competition. Both have to be in harmony and synchronous in purpose. Very true. I just go ahead.
I want to pose a question to this sir right here, because see, I happen to feel, and we talked about this, I happen to feel that your HEARTSET, in my opinion, is more dominant at times than your mindset. In my opinion,
it should be. I feel if you want to be successful,
I don't think they're equal to any degree from my perspective. I think you can have all the mindset in the world, all the logic in the world. If your heart's not in the right place, you're going to crumble and fall at some point or feel empty. So you can build $1 billion, company, $1 billion industry, and feel empty and go home lost and confused and angry, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So
it's plenty of wealthy people that have killed themselves for those reasons. Thanks for the invite. I'm listening and writing news for AM segment. Won't be able to hop in. It's okay, Kawanza. I'm so glad you're here. Appreciate you showing up. It's always wonderful to have you in the building. That is a phenomenal woman right there. If you all don't know her, you all should follow her. She is doing some very, very big things, ladies and gents. So, okay, so but back to what you were talking about. Wait, Anthony has a question. Now the comments are flying. Okay, do you feel that you have to put a time limit or task or strategies that you have to get done?
Who asked that?
Jonathan.
A time limit on tasks and strategies that you have to get done.
Yeah, basically, I think he's talking about goals. Like, if you have a strategy, should there be a time limit?
I can give you a quick productivity hack. I always put a timer when I do things. I'll put a timer on and I try to push myself to get it done within a time, just so that I don't spend my time, getting distracted and doing things that are not productive. That's what I do. And then I also set times. Like I had a business meeting today. I also set times on when I want to accomplish certain goals. But I'm a big component of, I'm really big on making sure the content's in my brain to achieve the goal. I think people set a lot of empty goals, if you know what I'm talking about, Joe. A lot of people say, I want to make $1 million. Well, how? Do you even have the content, the people around you, the mindset, HEARTSET, all that to even make $500,000?
There you go. And that's a big deal. I'm one to tell people, and Anthony's been around me, so he knows I twist a lot of things because it's just the way my brain works. I tell people I don't want you setting goals, and that's contradictory to what everybody talks about. Goals. No, I want you setting resolutions. And I know a lot of people only think of resolutions as New Year resolutions. But see, if you take the word in the context that it means, when you resolve something, it means you have an answer to something. And when you have resolve, it means that you are absolutely committed to making that thing happen, which is why they say when people go through hard times, they had the resolve to do so because they understood where they were trying to go and what they wanted to do.
Exactly.
So I tell them to set it as a resolution more than as a goal, because if you resolve to do something, 9 times out of 10, you do it because you turn it into a must instead of a should. Hello, Sabrina. How are you?
Exactly. So pretty much, Fred just said, Mr. Fred just said, the moral plane, the heart set always trumps the physical plane, the mindset, of course.
Yeah. By the way, the moral plane, heart set, always. Yeah. See, I told you, Mr. Oban he is a phenomenal guy. I really like Fred a whole lot, and I know we all will be doing some stuff together in the very near future. Yes.
Oh yeah, just to give them a quick tip again. He pronounced my name right. just a quick tip again. So many people right now that are starting companies or have companies, they're spending time looking for, like you said, the best strategies, putting together sales teams, the new social media platforms, all these different things, when, like you said, they're not even worrying about their heart. They don't even know why they're. So again, I just want to preface that to anybody that's watching. Know why you're doing it, or the what, like Gerald likes to say. But before you start looking at marketing strategies and all these other things, really have a great idea about exactly why you're doing it and where your heart is lying in this industry, or whatever it's going to be. So that's important.
Absolutely. Ask the three what questions, I say.
Yeah.
What am I doing this for? What am I looking to produce? And what is my end goal, resolution in mind? What is it what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? What are you really doing it for? Ask yourself those questions, and it gives you a different emotional attachment. And if you get the right emotion, it will always trump anything that you can try to think of why you shouldn't do it. And just before I let Fred chime in, because he's going to drop a wealth of knowledge on you guys. I can't wait.
Don't know about that.
He always has some stuff. But here's something else I wanted to say. You have to understand that fear isn't real. And everybody talks about it, and I'm not going to give you guys this acronym that everybody else throws out, because all I'm going to tell you is the truth. I'm a truth-based guy. Forget facts. The fact that the truth is that fear is based in the future. You're afraid of things that haven't happened. That's what you're fearful of, the future. In the present, it hasn't happened. Now, understand, danger is real. Fear is not. And people equate them to be equal, and they are very separate. Unfortunately, just like mindset in your brain, they try to couple them together.
But you know what happens, Gerald, when you're emotionally attached to things, right? Now we realize that it's in the future, but I've seen a lot of my clients, when you're emotionally attached to things, they're afraid to allow the emotions to get hurt, right? I care about this so much.
Okay, we lost Anthony. So, okay, he's coming back.
People down, right? I don't want to hurt these people. So they're afraid, right? I know it's in the future, but I just wanted to preface that, they're afraid of emotionally being damaged, right? So I think that's something that people always worry about as well.
Absolutely. Again, it's about things that haven't happened, and they're worried about. Well, a lot of time, because the emotional pain becomes physical for them. Mm-hmm. So it's a real challenge for them. We have Fred, Mr. Oban up here. I would like him to get his piece of this HEARTSET versus mindset. First of all, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Gerald. Nice to see you again, Anthony.
How you doing, brother?
Oh, great. Thank you very much, except for some car trouble that I had today. And just why this is funny is because Gerald was late yesterday because he had car trouble. So,
Yes.
Karma's a bitch. It comes up and it bites you in the ass. First of all, I just wanted to drop in and say hi to support Great O'Clock, because I think it's a great movement you have there. And to say to Gerald that I actually was able to use the term gummy bear leadership today to a client. Which is
wow.
That way, anyway, what does that mean? And I said, well, it comes from my good friend Gerald DuBose, and it's DuBose, right?
Yeah, DuBose, yes.
Gerald DuBose. And I said, it's a term we had gummy bear, care bear leadership, but I like gummy bear leadership better because you're getting stuff from gurus and mavens, and it's soft and it's squishy and it's colorful and it's sweet, but you don't want to make a diet of it. And he went, well, okay. And apparently I got the contract. So thank you for that. So, yeah, I think we're going to have to patent that. I cede all intellectual property rights to you on that one. In terms of, when you start talking about, a lot of people want to talk to me about their personal strategies and their business strategies and stuff like that. In a lot of cases, they've got a business plan, but they really don't have a strategy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you see goals and objectives in their strategy. And at strategic level, we generally don't talk about goals and objectives. We talk about what effects do you need to generate to meet your end state. Strategy is all about creating coherent conditions to affect change. Right? Wow. So you are, I love to take credit for that, but again, I credit Carl von Clausewitz. That's the whole role of strategy. Whether you're talking about it from a military perspective or a personal perspective, you are changing something. So every one of these effects that you want to do, and generally most businesses break down to how they shape, unify, and operate. So in terms of shaping your future, what effects do you need to do? And you might say, well, I got to have a social media plan, and I got to get out there and be on Facebook. No. The effect that you want to generate is you want to create, a degree of influence or something like that. So then you would start plugging in business objectives that says, I'm going to have an influence plan. As part of that influence plan, I'm going to have some media objectives, and part of those is social media, blah, 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 blah. So that's where you start populating things in, and you concentrate on the effects you need to generate to affect coherent change. And if you do that, your objectives, your goals, your personal, warm, fuzzy, huggy pieces will become self-evident.
Yeah.
I had to throw some gummy bear leadership in there.
Way to go with the gummy bear leadership. The gummy bear thing. That's a big thing for me. I throw that around to people all the time about gummy bears.
Oh, it's great. That's a great term. I love it. And I think I'm going to actually stop off at the dollar store tomorrow because I have another client I have to see tomorrow, and he's been reading the wrong books on leadership.
Oh,
I brought him some history books to read. You should read these first, because these other books you've been buying, they're not exactly new ideas. So, but I'm going to stop off at the dollar store and buy a big honking bag of gummy bears.
I love it.
So I think we got some mileage in there, and I think our next cooperative blab should probably be something along the line of no gummy bear leadership allowed. So I just wanted to stop in and say hi and support Great O'Clock. I think you guys are doing great. And thank you very much for your very kind words, Gerald. I should get you to write some of my press. No, thank you very much for that. And there's a hockey game on tonight. Thank God. Hockey's back. What a boring summer it's been.
Oh man, I felt that way about football. Believe me, as soon as Sunday came, last 2 Sundays ago, I was like excited. I love American football. That's a big thing for me. So I definitely understand.
Well, I grew up playing hockey as a kid, and I mean, it's a great sport because first of all, violence is encouraged, and they give you a stick. So I mean, life doesn't get better than that. And when you're 6'2" and not a very bright guy and you know how to skate, that's pretty much how you make your younger life. Yes. Anyway, the heart and mind. If you ever get a chance to look at Lolly Daskell's stuff.
Lolly Daskell. Wait a minute. I'm a student always. Hey, she used to have a great lead from the Heart series on Twitter, but
She's overcoming some health issues, so she hasn't been on lately a lot. She's retweeting a lot of stuff. If you follow her on Twitter, she's regurgitating a lot of her stuff there, and it's worthy reading. And probably one of the best explanations of, warm-hearted leadership versus hard-headed leadership. And she says, look, it's not one or the other. Okay, you've got to be both. And, when you've got to be hard-headed does not necessarily mean that you're insensitive. It just means that you have to look at things extemporaneously and logically and stuff like that. And warm-hearted doesn't mean, okay, let's all sing Kumbaya by the fire, but while we figure out our business plan, it's saying, listen, it's like the U.S. Army used to say. What was their motto? Well, before they changed it to an army of one. What a stupid I mean, that's so counter-military. You just want to just give somebody a hard slap. No, they're, in the Training and Doctrine Command headquarters, they have a big sign right up front door. Say, soldiers first, mission always. Which is one of the best explanations of what I would call warm-hearted leadership from the gummy bear perspective, because you really do take care of your soldiers first. But you know what? Sometimes mission does take priority over soldiers, and that's the nature of the profession you're in. The HEARTSET versus the mindset. I don't know. When I was 20 years old in a bar and had a few beers in me, trust me, HEARTSET usually won, right? But
sure that was HEARTSET?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
I was going to say that may be another region that set on something else. But, we've all been there, so I can't knock that at all.
Can't judge.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyway, if you want to read great stuff on heart versus mind, Lily Daskell's probably the best writer on it. And she's from your neck of the woods in the USA. She's down in New York City.
Awesome.
And she's also a really great public speaker as well. I'm trying to coax her on the blab, but as I said, Lolly has overcome some personal issues. So I was a really good follower of hers, and for some reason she liked my stuff too. So it's like, hey, okay. When Lolly Daskell gives you some checks in the box, people start calling up, say, "Can you do a speaking gig?" So she's got that sort of institutional power, which is
awesome.
Nice to have friends like that.
Absolutely. So I'm definitely going to check her out.
Yeah.
That's great. Like I said, I'm always looking to learn, and we have Michael. This is the first time I've met Michael. Welcome. And I like his handle, Kick Ass Dad. I know that's right.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, great topic and great listening to you guys. Really powerful stuff. And the thing that kind of struck me, and the reason I hopped in here, was because this idea that great leaders today, it's like this idea that we've gotten to in our society where everybody gets a trophy, I think has, and I'm not saying anything new here, but this idea that everybody gets a trophy I think it's become counterproductive to individuals' purpose, passions, talents, and to revisit this idea of what real leadership is and what it can be is to say, hey, you know what? We got to hold people accountable to their words and their actions, and at the same time inspire them and invoke. I think that's where we've gone kind of off the deep end when it comes to sensitivity, and we've got to there's always going to be bullies, but the question is, how do people face a bully? Like, how do you teach your kids to grow up to stand up to a bully without, last resort is violence, right? So how do we start to create that and bring that back into our society? And I think that's one of the cool pieces of this topic.
Well, when it comes to not resorting to violence, I'm probably not the best guy to have on the
I said last resort.
Yeah, right.
No, what I used to teach my kids is, listen, you're always going to find bullies in life, and one of the things during the peacekeeping era of about 1990 to about 2001, that's all we did is we went around the world dealing with, particular types of bullies. And I used to tell my kids, in this family, we don't start fights, but by God, we will finish them.
Right.
And decisively.
Yes.
Right?
That's it.
And I don't know if that's great advice, because then my son joined the army, and my daughter became an environmentalist. It's like, bam, where did I go wrong? Son joined the infantry. My daughter started hugging trees. I mean, it's like, where did I go wrong?
They say our identities are come from childhood, and they're either trying to mimic or completely resist our parents, and I've certainly done both.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I would go on the resist side for myself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that. I mean, how do you deal with bullies? Bullies, like harassment, like bad behavior, like bad leadership, like bad food, only exists because people tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's, anything bad, people tolerate it. Right? Why do we have bad politicians?
We tolerate it. Right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then we pit ourselves against one another, or we let them pit us against each other, so that we'll forget what they're doing.
I mean, in Canada, politics is a blood sport, but in the U.S., it's so bipolar. Because you only have two parties, right? And the problem is the crazies on the left and the crazies on the right end up dominating, the tempered speech, both, the sort of slightly left of center, slightly right of center. In Canada, we have one really extremely right-hand party and two incredibly left-hand parties. There's nowhere in the middle. I mean, it'll be a fun election.
See, when we start talking politicians, that's politics. The construct of it is divisive within itself for the most part. It's not set up to be a joint, amicable type of thing, because one party is meant to take you to one extreme and the other party is meant to take you to the other extreme. They aren't meant to be amicable. So, when you start talking about that construct, that is a completely different and total other conversation.
Well, when you vote, like certainly we have a parliamentary system here, so people are generally voting for a party, but it's generally also voting for the leader, right? It's first past the post. In the U.S., you actually get to vote for the guy who sits in the executive office, that's the nature of a republic. But Gerald, I'd be interested to hear your perspective on this insofar that, do you think that when people vote now in the U.S., are they voting for the party or are they voting for the man?
Well, I mean, that is, oh man, see, we're on the record. I will not have this discussion right now.
But that's a HEARTSET versus mindset issue, isn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know, because some people vote with strictly along party lines, and some people vote for, I know some people that cross party lines in certain elections. So there are certain people that stick to one party, and then there are some people that say, you know what, I just don't like this person, so I'm going to vote for the other party because I don't like this person. So it's like, which devil would you like to have? The lesser of two demons is the way they look at it. So, I will keep my own polarizing viewpoints.
I wasn't asking for your political views on it. I was just general question.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
We had when you talk HEARTSET versus mindset, that's always a values type argument too, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Your values are the HEARTSET. And
yes, absolutely.
When people start talking about tax breaks and where they're going to invest your tax money and stuff like that ends up becoming a mindset kind of issue too. So, that's, I think there's a lot of parallels here. So.
Yeah. I mean, it correlates a lot with life in general, because in life we do that. We like to think that we're logical creatures. Everyone likes to think, well, I'm thinking my way through this. No, most of the time you're acting emotionally. Most of our life is about, that's why I said the HEARTSET versus mindset. I think emotional intelligence is,
well, for leadership, can't be in business without it.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because people always think it's about IQ. But if your EQ is off, you can have all the IQ in the world. You're going to lead people into a lot of trouble.
But you know what?
Well.
I think
if you have EQ and nothing, if you have all EQ and no IQ, you know what you get? Gummy bear leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. I was about to say that. So I mean, it's a balancing act. I'm not saying you can be all one or the other, but emotional intelligence, I find a lot on here. on Blab. Yes, there are some heart-centered people. But Michael, you were trying to make a point. Go ahead.
No. I was actually agreeing, because you do have to have that balance, because anytime you go to either extreme, and this actually relates to the political conversation as well, when you're not operating with balance and you're kind of being radical when it comes to either your mindset or your heart set, then you're going to alienate a lot of people. So for example, I'm an ex-hippie, right? So I had the dreadlocks, I was the Rasta in the woods, I left society, ran away from it all. And I said, it's just horrible the way people treat people. It's just terrible. And I'm going to leave and go discover myself and find my heart center. And you come back to society, and society hasn't changed, but you have. And you can't make major impacts in society just walking around saying, I love you to people. I mean, it's a beautiful sentiment, right? It's a beautiful sentiment. It's a beautiful perspective. But in order to create actual change, you have to have a plan. You have to have a process. We are left and right brain creatures. We are not just emotionally driven. We are not just intellectually driven. We are driven as I kind of see it as a three-part being: mind, body, spirit. But you have to have a full understanding of who you are if you're going to make serious impact and increase your domain in the world, right? Because I can be a victim, or I can have my own little ideology and sit in a cave. But how am I impacting the world? And what am I creating? And how am I being a leader and making the shifts that I want to see in my life and the world that I leave for my children?
A historical leader once said, you have to love the people you lead. If not, you're in the wrong leadership environment. Who do you think said that? This might surprise you.
Who said that?
George S. Patton.
Staunch military general, yeah.
Yeah. Well, plus a guy that was pretty keen on throwing people's lives away, but that was his cautionary tale. And if you were in it works in business too. I mean, if you're having people put their futures on the line, put their lives on the line, put their livelihood on the line, I don't care which noun you're using here. One of the best ways to make sure that you have that emotional bond with those you leave is that you have to have a degree of admiration for them.
That's right.
If you're supposed to promote people's welfare, lead your know your people and promote their welfare. Well, if you don't have admiration for them, or if you don't have an emotional bond with them, it's a pretty tenuous leadership environment that you have. Teams like that usually don't last very long, as opposed to the ones that endure.
Yeah, I think the Tao Te Ching talks a lot about how important it is for leaders to be great followers, people who lift others up from underneath. You have to be leading you do lead from the front, but you kind of lead from behind as well. You support and push those who you're leading forward.
You are talking my language. You said the Tao Te Ching. One of my favorite quotes comes from there. Those who know don't talk, and those who talk don't know.
As we're on Blab.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite things. But just going back, if we're talking leadership in general, just about leadership and not about business overall, especially, people are asking three questions when they look at their leaders, when they're looking at especially C-level leaders and things of that nature. People want to know, one, can I trust you? Do I trust you?
Yeah.
Number two, well, actually, I got it in the wrong order. Number one would be, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you do the things that you say you can do? Number two, they ask, do you care about me? Because if you can help me but don't care about me, then you probably won't help me. And number three, they're going to ask, can I trust you? Can I put my all in what you're saying and believe that you're going to lead us where you say you're going to lead us? Those are the three questions I think they're always asking when they're looking at you, when you are the CEO, when you are the chief operating officer, and you say, this is what we're doing. This is how we should do it. Okay. All right. Can you help me? Can you really help me? Because, this is my job. Will I have a job? If we do this thing, do I trust you? Do I really believe what you're saying? And then obviously, do you care about me? Because if you don't care about your employees, that's why people have such high turnover ratios, because the employees don't feel cared for. Mm-hmm. So as Fred and I talked about a little last night, I believe great leaders empower. their people. You know, that's something. You know, they allow them to be themselves and to have a definite role in being part of the growth, being part of the success. So,
and empowerment doesn't imply that, you know, okay, I'm going to come in and empower everybody, because I walked in the window.
there you go. That's true.
There's the gummy bear stuff, but you know,
no gummy bear leadership, man. No gummy bears. Hashtag no gummy bears.
But last week I walked into this one company and they said they were, you know, sorry, they were kind of hippies, but in the best possible terms, and they said everyone in our team is a leader. And I said, okay, my rates just went up. You know, if everybody's leading, nobody's leading. But, you know, the issue here is empowerment doesn't mean that you make everybody a leader. What empower means is you use everyone to the maximum of the gifts that they bring to the fight.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Yep.
And that's exactly what Gerald's saying. And again, everything that Gerald says resonates with me in every fiber of my being. I love old school stuff, you know. And when we talk about things like empowerment, this is actually old stuff.
Right.
Leaders have been writing this stuff for 250 years.
Well, yeah, it comes back to know thyself, right? So ultimately, you have to know who you are, and if you know who you are, then you have an opportunity to actually make an impact in the world. Like, I have a coaching practice, and one of the things we focus on is passions, talents, and values. What matters to you? What comes easy to you? What's natural, right? Leverage that, and then what are you passionate about? What resonates in every fiber of your being? And if you can start to connect those dots and figure out where your greatest joy meets the world's greatest need, now you have a recipe for massive success for the individual, for the organization, and it's old school. It's old. It's you know, you go back to most of your philosophers, and they're gonna bring this stuff back, and you know, people are like myself are hijacking it today. You know, it's like, but it's real. You know, and it connects you to what matters most. And you know, I believe everybody has a purpose. And whatever that is not up to anybody else but you.
There you go.
But your connection to it is what creates the value.
But if you're in a team environment, we're talking about things like unity of purpose, right? Yeah. So you don't need unity of thought. And that's where we see a lot of companies go wrong. It's just, we have that unity of thought. No, we don't.
You're absolutely right. No, you don't.
Unity does not require unanimity. As a matter of fact, if you got 10 people agreeing to do the same thing, someone's wrong, or all 10 of them are wrong. The role of the critic is an important one, and you have to force some people to be the critic. You got to have unity of purpose. You have to have unity of values. You have to have unity of vision. If you don't have those things, unity of action becomes highly problematic. You never get past the execution stage. That is old school military leadership 101. Whether you're commanding a squad or whether you're commanding a task force.
I really like that. No, because unity of thought leads to this sort of kind of brainwashed, nobody's thinking for themselves mentality, and it really can be contradictory to the evolution and growth of the organization.
Right. Unity of thought thinking. I always go back to what Winston Churchill says. Okay. Exercise of consensus produce nothing but a sum of all fears result.
Right.
Right.
You put 10 people in a room and you get consensus. What you only end up with is a sum of all their fears.
Absolutely.
So, and he's the guy who coined the phrase, unity does not require unanimity. The two are not necessarily synonyms.
Right.
Hey, look, Gerald, I'm going to open up my seat because obviously other people are jumping in here, and I want.
Gee, when I come, everyone leaves. What's going on?
Nobody's leaving. Fred, believe me, Fred's not going far. That's my Fred will be here. He's just going to.
I'll be here on text because also the third period just started.
What are all those pictures behind you?
That is a competitive intelligence analysis that I use for some of the educational purposes that I use. One of my jobs before I retired from the military was I was the director of future security analysis for the government of Canada. So we used to have something where we would analyze threat nation states or heavy strategic actors, and I've just commercialized it. So every institution, no matter what you do, you have to lead, you have to sense, you have to act, you have to shield, you sustain, you have to generate, right?
Thank
And
you.
sense can be something like everything from competitive intelligence, market intelligence, business intelligence, performance intelligence, blah, doesn't matter. Every institution has to do all those 6 things equitably, not equally, but equitably. So blue, the good guys, can do some things reasonably well. Red, the naughty people, your competitors, can also are very good at doing certain things. Until you actually compare the two comprehensively and say, okay, be Frederick the Great at the end of the day, say, okay, so where does he outperform me? But more importantly, where do I outperform him? And either how do I maximize it or where do I have to invest? So, it's the Schwerpunkt is here. It's the old German, as they used to say, Fingerspitzengefühl, which is, your innate ability to, the German, I love the Germans. The Germans have a word for everything. So Fingerspitzengefühl, yeah, because they're such a caring, sensitive people.
Mindset.
So it just speaks to leadership's natural ability to find out where the strategic issues are and the leadership to grasp the strategic issues and move forward.
Absolutely.
That's a really sort of like 5-minute explanation of a very complex process.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wash it over. But anyway, it's off topic, and I'm going to leave. Pleasure to meet you. Sorry, is it?
His name's Walter. His name's actually Walter.
Walter, very nice to meet you, Walter. I should open up this seat, and Gerald, see you on the blab side reasonably soon. We got to do a Gummy Bears leadership one.
Oh, we will.
Thank you for the explanation. Thank you.
We need to actually turn that one into a panel, Fred. With that needs to be live. People need that to digest.
Oh yeah, and one of us should press the record button. My first blab last night, forgot to push the record button.
I did too on my first blab. Totally forgot to record.
Lord help me, sometimes I'm just not that bright. Okay, guys.
Thanks, Fred.
Nice to meet you,
Gerald. All the best.
Always.
Walter, take care.
Bye.
All right, thanks. Okay, Walter, my man. How are you, Walter?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any progress with this blab thing. People react to me a certain way, and I irritate people, and then now I get them to talk about stuff they don't want to, and they always get annoyed. So I think
there's a huge amount of value in that, Walter. Pushing buttons is very important.
I think that's all I know how to do. I'm a photographer first since I was 8 years old. So I've been pushing buttons my whole life.
Well, awesome. Well, what we were talking about was basically about, people's heart set versus their mindset. And we're actually going to wrap up here and go off record in a minute. But I would love to get your perspective. We got a couple of other people in here that I probably will hop on to.
I got to understand your question first. See, I don't know if there's a question or not.
Yeah, it's not a question yet. That's why I was just explaining what we're talking about.
I'm waiting.
Okay, right. So what we're talking about is a lot of times, you hear about people say your mind, you have to have a certain mindset in order to achieve success, right?
I've heard that, yes.
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
I don't know if I got a mindset, but go ahead.
All right. So what we're talking about is that if your heart isn't in it, or rather, if you put your heart into it, it's nothing your brain can do to stop you.
Okay, that's absolutely right too.
So
no question about it. I shouldn't talk
He's
about
speechless.
my art. I shouldn't know. I shouldn't talk about my art because people get annoyed. But that's all I know how to talk about. And I figured out today. I told everyone the other day, and many times, I have over 310,000 images. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I said I do know that.
Oh, you know that. Okay, so I figured out today, based on the prices that I have up, each one of those 310,000 images is available in 48 different products. In other words, there's 7 different paper types or canvas, and then 6 different sizes. That comes to 48 products. I did the math for you. And the profit, if I sell one image in each of those 48 products, there's $51,000 worth of profit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just one image. But multiply that by 310,000, the 51,000, and you get 810 million dollars.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 products of each one of those, or 10 images of each one of those products, you got 158 billion. 100 of each one of those, you got 1.581 trillion. 1,000 of each one, you've got, let me see now, it says 15.81 trillion. And 10,000 of each one, you've got 158.1 trillion. So I mentioned that, I showed that to my wife. She said, you can take care of the national debt.
Yeah, I mean, if you were able to achieve something like that, absolutely you could.
But now, I could also, wait a minute, I could also give it to the government so that they would have something substantial to negotiate and reduce and get rid of it, wipe out the whole national debt.
So is that your mindset or your heart set? That's what you're going for?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that what your heart is set on right now?
I don't know. I just started thinking about that today, because that's when I calculated this just today. I never did this before. I got to the point. I said, let me see what it's worth. Now, Gerald, I don't know if I told you before, but I have 200,000 more up to upload. So it's even greater than that. So
awesome. That's awesome. So let me ask you one question so I can ask a question now.
Absolutely.
What drove you to be into the art that you do, the photography and the images? What drove you to that? Was it more something you thought of or something you felt?
Okay. Do you mean from the very beginning, or
from the very beginning? From the very beginning.
Well, I think it was because I must have. There's a lot of different things that go into everything. I live in New York, where I can go to the MoMA anytime that I want.
Oh wow! I have never been, and I love art. And
I actually have some videos. If you connect with me on Facebook, I have some videos of the latest Picasso show that I did. You are not even supposed to videotape it, but I videotaped it, and you could see the show. So connect with me on Facebook.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, and then, so my father was a cop, and he worked in Greenwich Village, and when I was 7, he says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a cop or a fireman, only because I like the blue uniform and the red fire engine. And he said, no, you're not. And then they gave me a camera when I was 8. So I said, well, great, I can shoot with the camera instead of the gun. And so that was an enthusiastic thing. But I remember seeing a show at one point that was someone was very ill, and they were in the hospital. And there was some joy that they got about creating portraits. So there's a lot of things. My mother was an artist too. So anything I did in school, she showed me how to underline it, make the colors stand out and stuff. So it's not just one thing ever.
Absolutely.
And it just grows and grows and grows. So today, because of the digital world, though, and what I can do with colors and shapes, and I just never want to stop.
Awesome. Yeah,
so the question about how to market it, or whether I can give it to the government and let them get rid of their debt, I mean, it's a great idea. I don't know if they came to me and they said, we're going to do this, and we're going to really make it work. Yeah, that would be fine. But I don't think necessarily how I'm going to sell. That's why it's a problem when they were talking to me the other day about what's your niche market.
I remember I came in there doing that.
And you were really you're really compassionate for me, because, you understand me different. Not too many people understand what I talk about.
Well, that's because a lot of people have poor listening skills. Actually, Walter, they're trying to convey a point. They aren't worried about your point.
Right. They want to say what they're going to say.
Right. So I mean, that's why in an environment like this, where it's about sharing, I want to hear you just as well as I want you to hear me. Right. And I can't correctly reply to you if I don't hear you. So I believe it's very important. So,
but you're leading this, right? This is your thing.
Yes, this is
why I have a great chance when you're leading, rather than when someone is, you got 10 minutes or 2 seconds or something like that. It doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had Mr. Benny Randall come in. Mr. Benny Randall, the motivator himself, is here. And welcome, Mr. Benny Randall. How are you?
I'm blessed. I just wanted to jump in here, show you a little support, and refer to something about your topic here when it says the power of the heart set and the mindset. I heard a couple people say, well, it's just their heart or the mind. But one thing I was taught a long time ago, the mind is an excellent servant, but a bad master. It has to start in the mind. It can't start in the heart. Why? Because we think in pictures. So we have to see the idea first, and then we implement it through the heartstrings. The heart does not operate by itself. So when you say the power of mindset, it's absolutely a mindset to make anything actually happen. I'm not saying somebody's right or wrong. You got to do what works for you. But what I am saying is that everything starts here. Everything that's ever been created, every idea in this entire world has started here. Okay, it started as a thought, an idea. And then the idea has to be put into action. Okay, and that's where the heart comes in. The passion comes in. You know what I mean? Because you can keep your body alive and keep the heart alive, but if you're brain dead, nothing's going on. It's just that simple. There's nothing going on. You get that body can't operate if you're brain dead, because one, the brain is part of telling the body what it needs to do. The heart can still be beating. You know what I mean? And I can attest to that from personal experience. Just recently, last year, my brother died. And he was brain dead, and he was on this machine for 12 days. And in that moment, he couldn't do anything, but, the body was there. So long as the body there, the spirit is still connected somewhat. But he was brain dead. There was nothing else. They had to put a machine to use restroom and all those aspects. So, great title, great topic, the power of the heart set versus the mindset. But I'm going to have to go. It starts here. Unless you can tell me some other thing or give me some evidence that it starts here, then I'm going to just go with that.
I have a question for you.
For a quick second.
Okay, wait. We got everybody jumping at exactly the same time. We'll let Michael go, and then Walter will ask. Go ahead, Michael.
I just had a quick point. I definitely agree. I think it certainly starts in the mind with the idea, and then to your point, then once the idea clicks, then it has an opportunity to hit the heart, and the heart can either light up. And the difference between the heart being involved in that idea and not being involved in that idea is the difference between a man against the world and a man as one with the universe. Like, it is, when the heart is on fire, that idea can ignite a nation. But when it's just the mind, there's very little that one man can do to bring that to fruition.
We're saying the same thing. It starts here and it's pushed here. I'm absolutely with you 1,000%. All right. Go ahead,
Walter, I believe had a question for you, Benny.
Yes. First of all, two things. First of all, where does the mind get it? Where this idea, right?
Where does the mind get it?
Yeah.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
That's right.
Therefore, we connect it to a higher power.
Exactly.
So that power comes through the energy and resides here, and then travels throughout the body.
That was my point. That's why I asked the question, number one. Number two, in order to make it both a mind and heartfelt project, how do we make those two in harmony so that that's where the passion is?
I think the gentleman just answered your question earlier. He said it starts here, and then if the heart becomes involved with that idea, those two together can push that man and that idea to a place where other people can enjoy it. Right. And what he also said is that the mind without the heart is just that. It's an idea. And many people have ideas. An idea without action is nothing.
So it's nice to say that the heart and the mind working together, but how do you get to that? Why are there so many times or so many things when that doesn't happen?
It only happens by choice. Remember, no one has authorization over you, sir.
So that's
you have the power to build Whatever you can visualize here,
You're
you have
absolutely
total power.
right.
No one has authorization over you. So unless you choose to do the work, too many people have faith without work.
Right. So,
You see what I'm saying? And then some people have work without faith.
so isn't that what we want to focus on sometime in the future, Gerald? We want to have some talk about what you said, choice. Is that the word?
Yeah. That's actually what this
free will.
what this whole thing really was about. I've posed this topic because I'm big on this thing, and I talk to people about their heart set versus their mindset all the time when I'm coaching people. So I would agree that you see something first, but the only thing I would say differently is to me is that if you actually said it, Benny, the one thing your brain does not control in your body is your heart. So if you put your heart behind something, and the whole purpose of this was talking about how to overcome your fears and all the negative talk that we do to ourselves. If your heart is in something, there's nothing your brain can do to stop it. We love people all the time that our head will be like, we're not going to see them. We're not going to talk to them. But as soon as that phone rings, you try to act like you got to. What? Well, I need you to come.
I beg to differ because I think you misquoted me. You said something to the fact that I say if something about the brain doesn't control the heart. Yes, it does.
No. I said the brain doesn't control the heart.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I thought you said I said it. Yeah, it does. And I'm going to tell you why. The brain does control the heart because it tells the heart how much blood needs to go back and forth. Okay. It actually gives instructions to everything that's going on in this physical plane here. You understand? Hold on for a second. What I was saying earlier is that when my brother was sitting there for those 12 days, his heart was beating by a machine, but nothing else was working. Now, if his mind had been active, he would have been able to control some of the motor skills. You follow what I'm saying here?
I follow what you're saying.
Right. And remember, there's a difference. The heart is the physical aspect of the human form. The mind is physical, but it connects with the spiritual.
Now, I believe that's your heart. I believe that's because they say when you talk about in meditations and things of that nature, your spiritual center is your heart. That's what they talk about.
I'm a meditator.
Yeah,
I've been meditating since like 1994. Your spiritual center is connected to your unconscious, the third eye.
Well, let's remember that these are all definite. So we're trying to define things that exist, and we're putting labels on them. So one person's idea of what the heart is versus what the spirit is could be completely different.
Absolutely.
So I have a vocabulary. We all have different vocabularies, and we all have different definitions and how we place things. So most of the time in these conversations, when they start to get delineated to the point of what is the heart, what is the spirit, we start to convolute the whole point and the purpose. I don't think either of you two gentlemen have a disagreement when you're on fire. But I'm just saying, when you're on fire and you're living life, you may call it the heart, you may call it the spirit, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that these type of discussions are great because you get it from 2 or 3 different perspectives, and people get to hear and take what they can for themselves. And my thing was with, and I will pass it back over to Benny and to you, Michael, in a second, about the heart is, like I said, your head, your brain. See, and people talk about the brain like it's the mind. The brain controls your body. The mind doesn't. The mind is more subconscious, spiritual. So the brain controls your body, not your mind. Now, so the brain talks about or is utilized as a protection mechanism. You think about why, that's why pain makes things memorable to you, because your brain is like, okay, I remember that hurt, so I won't do that. So my thing was when I said it can't stop the heart, because if you're sitting here right now, you cannot tell your brain cannot say, heart, stop beating. Your heart's not going to stop. Your heart will not, your brain does not control that. Yes, it controls the neurological functions of you moving your arms, your hands. No matter what you do, though, you cannot tell your heart, stop. You cannot tell your heart, stop feeling. when you feel for something or have that emotional connection to it, that connection never ends until your heart lets go of a piece of that, and then you're able to logically process it. So that is what I was talking about. You know?
I think Michael said perfectly. We are saying the same thing. It's our language, it's how we use it. And I will say this. If I lift my arm up right here, it takes 157 muscles. My heart don't know what those muscles are.
Very true.
All right, but my brain does, right? My brain knows what those muscles is, because without that brain operating, I wouldn't be able to do this, because my heart has no clue why my hand is going up and how many muscles it takes to actually do it. One other point, why there's something different, and when we say the mindset is the spiritual consciousness, because if you think you control the way you breathe, you got another thing coming, because there's something much higher and more powerful that's happening within you. Because if man control his breathing, half of us be dead. Why? Because we'll forget to breathe. Do you agree, or do you don't agree?
Well, that's happened to me. I have forgotten to breathe.
Walter, I love Walter. Walter said,
I fit in here somewhere.
I love it, and you do, Walter. We're all part of this. This is great. Kimberly has some stuff over here. Let me close off the record. Let me close off the record.
Come on, man. I didn't even explain it to you.
Yeah, let me close off the record real quick, and we're going to continue this discussion, though. I thank everybody for being part of this great o'clock this evening. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. If you would like to get in touch with us, I say you should follow everybody that's up here. I will let everybody give their @s for their Twitter and how people can get in touch with you. Let's start with Walter. How can people get in touch with you? We're going to continue the conversation, but we're going off the record.
First of all, can I ask Walter, is he alive when he's giving this communication?
I think so.
Just let me know. I want to be very clear. Please let me know.
Oh, man. Okay, Walter, how can people get in touch with you for people that are watching this or watching on the replay? How could people reach out to you?
Oh, does it have to be Twitter or?
No, Twitter, your website, whatever you want to do, Walter.
Okay. My main website is i00.us. That's the simplest, and everything is there. You want to find my art, it's there. You want a photographer, it's there. I have business opportunities and marketing tools. And anything else I want, it's connected, everything to there. I00, the letter I00. I tried for 100, but I couldn't get that. But then I got and then I got I00. So you got an iPhone, iPad, iTouch, and you got iInfinity. That's me.
Hey, Walter,
awesome.
You had somebody ask you to type it in the chat box.
Yeah, type it in the chat box as well so people can follow.
Okay.
Michael, man, we're going to have to talk more. I love your energy, and I think we have a lot of things to talk about. Tell people how they could reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a podcast, Kick-Ass Dad. You can check it out at kickassdad.org. You can shoot me an email, michaelmataluni@gmail.com. And currently rebranding the website, michaelmataluni.com, but it's not quite there yet. I could use a glass of that as well. I'll put it down here in the chat box.
Now,
what you drinking?
I don't know what.
I can't.
Okay. Benny, can you please tell them how to get in touch with the motivator himself?
I am at invisible.com. The gentleman up there. Invisible.com is where you can find. No, I'm just joking.
I photographed Invisible already.
I'm Benny. I can't, man. He just tucked me there. He tucked me out of soul focus mode. Like, I'm gone.
I still got to hear the story of when you stopped breathing, Walter.
I will tell you, yeah.
At BennyRandall.com. That's BennyRandall.com. That's BENNIE Randall.com. And I will be alive if you go to the website.
Oh, man. And I am Gerald Dubose. If you would like to reach out to me, you can find me at The New Wealth Order newwealthorder.com. And I promise you, I will not forget to breathe if you reach out to me. newwealthorder.com. I appreciate it so much. And I have to hear this story. And if, for all of you all that have not joined us on Blab that are listening to this through a podcast, you have to come because the after party is only on blab.im. So we will talk to you guys again on Monday.